Okay, I'm gonna start. This class is about contract. It's part of the lab exercise that we're gonna see. So this thing on and off. I don't know. I don't know what to do anymore with this. Okay. We're gonna see. I think 3 for contract. 3 actually. The first one is what is mandatory for your class mark. It's very simple, so super simple. And then there are more things that we're gonna see to add a little bit more content and interact with it a little bit. I think we have enough time today to do 3 contracts and play with it a little bit. I'm recording the session in case someone is not connected because of the lab and the thing that is part of your mark. There is going to be just one last class next week. My idea was to spin up a node with Monero and try to show some proof of work and what you can do with pool mining and simple mining, why it's not profitable, how the CPU spikes and so on. I'm going to do Monero not because of anything, but mostly because most of the other coins require heavy GPUs, and Monero is okay to run in a Docker container and show a little bit the configuration of it. But most of the concept that you see applies also to other currencies. Before you start, let me check. There are just 4 people that didn't do the transaction. The transaction is very easy, I think, to do. Just you need to configure MetaMask and do a few tweaks in the UX. If is there any issues why you didn't do the transaction because you didn't understand anything or something didn't work, just come and let me know. Write me an email, write me on Telegram. Come next week to class and we fix it, okay? So basically, there are 3 transactions that are mandatory for the lab. The simple one that we did last week, then we deploy a contract and we change the value of a variable. Super easy. And then the more advanced stuff is optional when it will be used to adjust the grade, okay? So it's up to you to do that if you want. But you're not penalized if you're not, okay? So it's not like you're missing marks. Okay. So we're gonna use the same spreadsheet from last week. I create a document that's called lab exercise. It has some step-by-steps and the code and everything, so you can copy and paste and look at it, and it's useful also for people that didn't come to class. Okay. Okay. So okay, this is still up. For some reasons. Okay, so first contract, super symbol. It's called symbol storage. The only thing it does, it's that it store a value, and you can change the. Okay, the projector didn't work anymore. I just restart. What is happening? Okay. So store the value and nothing else, okay? Doesn't have events, doesn't have a payable. There isn't much you can do. So we saw the beginning of the class Remix. It's remix.ethereum.org. It's an IDE. In other words, an editor for coding in Solidity, which is the language that is used, one of the languages that I use to write smart contracts. The interface has a few things, like most editors nowadays. He has some AI copilot, can explain you the contract, tells you some tips. You can change the theme, light or dark. I've connected my GitHub, so I can add the link to this, and you will find all the exercises in my GitHub. Let me do that. No. So it's at the end in the lab exercises documents in the class video folders on the drive. There are all the class examples that I did in Solidity and Remix, but except for the today contract. I'm gonna push them later. So symbol storage. First line is the license. It's mandatory in contracts. You need to add the license, and then it's the version of the compiler that this is going to work with, and then it's actual contract. So as a variable, the value that it's stored, and a function set stored value that allows you to change it. So you can compile it when you write it, and you will see it here in the compiler, basically with this check that tells you that everything is okay. And then you can deploy and run it. Let me close this. No. Okay, 1 second. That I managed to. Okay. I need to close these windows because otherwise you don't see. No. Okay. Okay. To run, we're gonna, when we started the course, we just used the simple test virtual machine on Remix, but we're gonna run it with a wallet. So you need to connect your MetaMask wallet to Remix. And to do this, you have to scroll down from where it says environment, browser extension, Sepolia testnet MetaMask. Okay. Once this is done, you will see your wallet here. This is the balance that I mined. And then here you will see the contract that was compiled, and you can just deploy it. Okay, when you deploy it, the wallet opens because you need to sign it. You are the owner of the contract. So you confirm, and we close this. And when you confirm, there is a transaction, and the contract has been deployed. Okay, this is from before. Okay, now it's this transaction. This. Okay, and you can go and see that. You can see basically on, well, this is root scan, or you can say edge scan or ATH Sepolia. You see the hash of the transaction. Okay, And when it's verified, you will see it here, basically. So let's see how long it takes to verify it. Just okay. Mm, let's try again. No, it's not turning on. We wait. Um, okay. Hello. Okay, let's see if this starts. Ah, just okay. Okay. No signal. Okay. Very good. It's not even switching anymore. Okay, so let me go back. Okay. Okay, so this is still not working. Let me try another one. Can you see it from Gmail? From the stream?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I will just continue from the stream. Okay. So yeah. Anyway, okay. Okay, so the contract is deployed and you have it's you can listen to
Can you repeat our access to NVIDIA modem or to MetaMask to put the MetaMask?
oh yeah, sure. So when you deploy, here you see environment and this should be Sepolia testnet MetaMask. And you
Okay.
change it from the browser extension MetaMask. Okay.
Okay. I one question. It's normal that in the pragma it says expected identifier but got pragma. I don't know if it's a problem.
What? I don't know. You should receive confirmation from your MetaMask wallet, basically.
Yes, but I say from the code, from it didn't compile because
But the contract didn't compile. It's
yes,
so you don't have this green check here.
yes, I don't have.
Okay. So you should check the contract that you write it
Ah,
without
I
any.
think I think I have the problem. It's that the solidity that have. Okay, yes,
Okay,
thank you.
no worries. So okay. Okay. So when you deploy it, you have the testnet with MetaMask at the top. You have your wallet with your balance. This 1.7 something something is your balance of Sepolia Ether in your wallet. And then you check that here if you have more, if you played with contracts maybe before you have other stuff that is compiled, you shouldn't when you start a new window, and you just deploy. Okay, and when it's deployed, these are the contracts. So you will see it down here where it says deployed contracts. And you see, and here this will be the address of the contract that is deployed. In here, you will have the transaction with its hash. And you then can set a new value. What happened? Okay. You then can set a new value here. Okay, and it will store as a different value, like 42. Okay, always 42. When you store a different value, it's a transaction. So again, MetaMask open, and you need to confirm because you need to sign. Okay, and it tells you that you have a transaction again, and it tells you view a net scan, for example, and you can open it. You can see that it's still pending, and when it's actually verified, you will see here. So, for example, now it's verified the success. Okay, this is the hash. And this transaction hash, when you deploy the contract and when you change the value, they need to go into the exercise spreadsheet for transaction 2 deploying, transaction 3 changing the value. Okay. You can take a little time now to do this. Yeah, it didn't have a value when you deploy the contract, basically. And then when you set a value, it will store it. Anything. Yeah, it can be 1, it can be 110. Any value. And it just yes, when you see your at the bottom here, when you see deployed contracts, okay, I have more contract here deployed because I was doing the class before. So it's you will see set stored value, and probably if you didn't open this arrow here, it will be like this. It will say you the type of the value, sign integer, new star value. Okay, and you type whatever. I typed 42. You can type whatever you want, and then you click on transact, and the value is stored. And when you click on stored value, you see here, you see the value that is stored. Okay. 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 Yeah, sure, of course. No worries. Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry, where can we find the code that you're currently using on the GitHub?
So, okay, so if you go to the video folder on Drive, where it says recorded lessons, there is a document that says lab exercises. Let me show it to you. Okay, so the first one is the stuff we did last week. Okay, where you had to send the transaction. Super easy. You do the mining. Tells you the URL of the faucet. Okay, And then you set up MetaMask and you send the transaction. Then you have number 2, deploy a smart contract in Ethereum. Okay, and here you can see the code.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, and basically it's also here if you wanna. Let me close this. You can see it all. Okay. It's a very small contract, very basic, just to be a little bit more familiarized and see how you can deploy it. Okay, any other question? No, address, you leave it like this. If you wrote something there, you delete it. It's something else. When you have address here, so when you deploy at some address, basically you're loading a contract from the blockchain. So if you wanted to load my contract, you could use this address. For example, I copy it and I pass it to you, and here basically, and you load it from here. But we're not doing this now. So you leave it like this. You just delete whatever there is. You just click on deploy and verify. Okay. Any other question with this? Are you doing it right now? Do you need 5 minutes to work on this? Okay, you're doing it right now. Okay, we take 5 till 2:45. If you want to do it in class, feel free to ask questions. The more you do it now, the less you have to do at home. And then
What is the final address we have to upload?
No, you don't have to load any address. So
No, it's a for checking that.
the transaction hash. So
Okay.
yes, when here at the bottom where you see the transaction, let's see if I can open it up. 1 second. Where do I open it up? So here at the bottom, why is this one not opening? When you deploy a contract, you have the transactions. So I'm going to deploy the next contract, okay? Just to show. In a while, and you will see the transaction address. Let's do this again. So I delete this and I deploy it again. Okay, so here it's pending because I need to sign it. I sign it, and then it takes a little bit to verify that it's a transaction. But you can see, you can click on this thing, view on Etherscan, and when you click, this is the hash. So you can copy the hash of if you're unsure or anything, just copy the full URL, okay? That's what
The hash of the deployment contract.
Yes, both the deployment contract and when you change the variable.
Okay.
So when you go back here and you set a variable here, let's set the same as before, and you transact. It's the same. MetaMask opens. You need to confirm. And then there will be a transaction. This is view and address scan. Okay, now it's pending. In a little bit, it will be verified. This hash is what you need to copy. And also check Ateneo, because I think Jose put there something where you need to put it there as well. I think so as well. Put it in the drive, because I'm not sure if Jose put it at an Ateneo as well. Okay. Okay. Okay, so yeah, for example, this was successful and it's verified. Okay. Okay, I'm back, I think. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So yes, so in the spreadsheet I did transaction 2 and transaction 3. 2 is to deploy the contract and 3 is from changing the variable. So same spreadsheet from last week, but please also check Ateneo, because I think you have something on Ateneo about this. Okay. There isn't anything? Okay, so Jose didn't put it, so it's the spreadsheet is okay. Okay. Okay, so yes, exactly.
Transaction 3 is for the last contract of the document.
Um, What do you mean?
The transaction tree, what is
So
of the...
when you change the variable, you need to
okay,
yeah, you have a hash of that transaction and you put it there.
yes, okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so this is just the simplest example that we're gonna see today. We're gonna see another one. It's a little bit more interesting, I would say. So it's a forwarder, and you can play with it a little bit. Code is in the same document. Okay. So you see it defined. I think I do it bigger so you can see it better. Okay, and I see if I can close this. Okay, just clicking works. Okay, so first line, same as before, the license, the version of the compiler, and the contract itself. As two things, okay? An address of the owner, which is registered when it's deployed, and it's the wallet that has deployed the contract, and as a target wallet, okay? Then it has an event, which it's called forwarded, and you have a from, a to, an amount, and a message. The constructor is called when the contract is deployed, takes an address, which is the target wallet, and it's required. It needs to be different from address 0, which is the blockchain address. So you cannot burn the money in this sense. There is the owner, which is the message sender, and yeah, the target wallet is stored as a variable. So there is a function that is send with message. Anyone can send coins or a message, and what it does, it just forwards to a wallet. Nothing else. Okay, and this is the event that is emitted by the send with message function. Okay, and when it's emitted, it's past the sender, the wallet, the value, and the message itself. You can also change the target if you wanted, but only the owner can do so. Okay. So you can compile it. And then same as before, you have the forwarder here, and then you need to pass a wallet here. You can use my wallet if you wanted. It's in the spreadsheet. You can use your own wallet if you wanted. You can use a friend wallet. It's up to you, really. So I have it deployed here with my wallet. I can change the target, and then I can set a message. And so the message can be something like, hello. Okay. And then I create the transaction. Wait a second, it needs a value, so it gives me an error. So I set the value here. And now I click transact again. Okay, so MetaMask opens up. I need to sign the transaction, and I confirm. Same as before, view an Etherscan. It's pending. So we wait a little bit and it should be available. Yeah, success. And the transaction is registered. And when I go to my wallet, yeah. So this was the set storage value before. This is the interaction I did now. That is stored in my wallet. So this contract is a little bit more interesting because you have a function that change a variable that is stored like before. Then you have the send with message, which send the value in the message. And then you have also the event that is emitted. So I don't know why it shows still pending here, but it's verified on Etherscan. Yeah, I'm not sure. So one thing we could do is that you could pass me a wallet that you want, and I can try to forward to your wallet, change it. Who wants to give me a wallet? Nobody. Okay. Thank you. I have a wallet. I changed the target. Again, MetaMask opens. Confirm. And then let's see if the target wallet. Yeah. Yeah, the target wallet has been set. Okay, so now when I send a message, for example, okay, right? Because and then do I have a value? I add a value. So this way is a fraction of another, small fraction. And I do transact. Okay, MetaMask opens again. Yeah. You should receive it in your wallet. Awesome. Yeah, small transaction, small amount of money, of coins. Yeah, in this case. So view Etherscan is successful. I must say I was checking because some things are a little bit slow. There is a Cloudflare outage right now happening. So some things sometimes in the UX of MetaMask are kind of slow, and also on Remix. Like the transactions are verified, but they don't show as verified. So I'm not sure. So this is the idea basically with this. You have a way to forward. Basically, it doesn't do much more than this, than forwarding and so on. So if you wanted to use the address, you could try to use my forwarder basically and deploy with that. And then you should get the same wallet that has been deployed here, basically, from the example. You don't see the transaction. Or did you receive it in your wallet? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
I'm a little bit confused with the instruction in the document. So the first transaction that we need to deploy is just to deploy
I'm
the
not sure if
contract.
people are talking, but I don't hear anything.
Okay.
Okay, I'll try to reconnect, okay? Hello?
Yes?
Hello.
Okay, why? Hello? Can you hear?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
I can't anymore for some reasons.
Very low volume, but yes.
Incredible. Okay, I'll switch browser. Let's see if that helps.
Can you hear us now?
Okay. Oh, come on, why nothing works today? Okay. Okay, well, if people can hear me. So for the forwarding contract, it doesn't, so I can Forwarding contract is optional if you want to do it. There is another tab, another column that says transaction 4 and 5. So feel free to add it there. So we're gonna work on the last contract. That is a little bit more challenging in a way. I hope at least. And the idea is that we make two contracts interact with one another now. Okay. So there is this last piece of code that is called in the lab exercise, the end. This one. Okay. So I have it here. Let me make it bigger. Okay. So this is a little bit more interesting in a way. No, there isn't anything on Ateneo for this. It's in the spreadsheet only. Yeah. I wasn't sure if Jose had something in Ateneo for these exercises, but apparently he didn't. So we can use the same spreadsheet. I think it's okay. So okay.
The transactions of the spreadsheet are after the first use, no? After deploy and edit the transaction and that transaction hash of 4 and 5.
So we all have a contract that is deployed, which is the forwarder, and it should work. And so the idea now is that we have a central contract that is called Quest, and I will deploy it, and each forwarder can interact with the Quest contract and register the forwarder itself. And this is a way to mimic, in a way, communication between contracts, like it was some communication between two parties, but also to understand a little bit what decentralized application do. But also it's made in a way so that there is some kind of thing that you like claiming a badge, some kind of checking mechanism in it. Okay. So the goal is that you call a function of another contract from your contract, and you have this idea of the registry in it. So I have this file, which is as the code for the Quest. I have it compiled, and I actually have it deployed in a way here. So what I can do is that I can register my forwarder in it, and I can add my name and a message again, so I remember. And then I can create a transaction that checks that I'm the owner of that forwarder. And then we're gonna look at this in the code. So still pending. Okay, successful. Right? Okay. So this is what it does. It has this interface, which is where you have the forwarder and has a function for the owner and a function for the target wallet that is defined in the forwarder. The quest contract has a structure for registration with the forwarder address, the name and the message, and the wallet. And it has a public address. In my case, I'm the owner of the quest. Okay. Okay. So it has a way of mapping the registration with a list of registration. So a forwarder is registered basically into the registration. And the event is registered and he has an address for the owner of the forwarder that is registered. The address of the forwarder, a string for a name and a string for message. So when he registered the forwarder, it checks that the address of the forwarder is not the blockchain, it's not address 0. You cannot try to register address 0. The variables are the basic, the address of the forwarder, the name, and the message. Register basically does a basic check through the interface, check that the owner that is registering the forwarder is the one that owns the forwarder. So if you are not the owner, it says you must own this forwarder, and then creates the registration basically, and emits the registered event. Okay. So you can register your own quest if you want from the code, or you can also use my quest, and I will see the transaction on it. So I'll put it here. Okay. This is more to play with the contract and what you can do with it than to actually share the transaction in a spreadsheet, and then we can share some observation, for example, of ideas you might have about how to modify it if you want. Okay, so I could load this quest contract and let me see if okay. No, this. Okay, yeah, it load from the same address. And so here you can, I could register a forwarder again, and a name and a string. Okay. Do you want to try it out?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about this? No. Okay. Okay, so since you have the code, one thing you could try as an extension, just to play with the contract. You can modify it, and so you should have the quest, you should have the forwarder. You can try to see, for example, I don't know how many people are registered in the forwarder, for example. Adding a counter when you do a send with message, something like this. You can add a minimum amount for value when you want to send some coin value. Yeah. Is anyone trying something or? Okay.
To the optionals, we deployed the contract of quest and the contract of forward and do a transaction and upload the hash in the spreadsheet. Shit.
Okay, so I'll stop the video for now. But not the video, the recording. So I take this time for you to ask questions about contracts and so on. And if you don't have questions about contract, you might have questions about your project. And if you want to modify this contract, or you can do so. Yeah, I don't know why I don't have audio anymore from you, but you can write the question. Okay, I think now, can you try to call?
Hello?
Yeah, now I hear. Okay.
Okay, the question that I had was the transaction 4 and 5. It's deploying the contract forward and quest, doing a transaction and putting that hash.
So the transaction 4 and 5 is just deploying the forwarder as an optional exercise and doing a transaction with a message. That's it.
Deploying the transaction in is the 4 and the doing a transaction is the 5, no?
Yes, and the quest is just for you to play a little bit with contracts. So you have the code, you can register your forwarder, see how it interacts, and then If you wanted to play with it a little bit, you could add some functions where you count as many registration you have, and so on. I'll put more into the lab exercise document. So if you want to try it, but it's just an optional exercise. There are no points for this. It's just for you to know how it works. So I think it's if you have a code and a demo and you hand out the code and the documentation for the code, that's okay. No worries.
Tengo alguna duda del proyecto. O sea, más bien explicarte un poco qué hemos hecho. O sea, lo que hemos hecho es, elegimos como Real World Assets.
Vale.
Y hemos hecho una aplicación que, o sea, representa que es para hacer trazabilidad en una ONG.
Ok.
Vale, o sea, tú cuando das algo en una ONG te dan un NFT
Sí.
y básicamente van apuntando, la ONG va apuntando a dónde está y el timestamp, digamos que se pone solo.
Okay.
Lo que hemos hecho es dos contratos.
Ujú.
O sea, el primero es básicamente el del NFT, pero con nuestros campos, con colocados. Luego uno que controla un poco si eres o sea, los miembros de la ONG los ponen en una lista, o sea, los para actualizarlos y tal.
Vale.
Y lo que luego hemos hecho es un frontend
Ujú.
que pilla
Claro.
del contrato. Vale, o sea, no sé si un proyecto de este tipo está bien.
Está súper bien.
Sí, luego aquí hemos puesto, o sea, aquí simplemente pilla el contrato y si le pongo, por ejemplo, a rastrear la donación, al cero me pone el de esto, así que buscan o sea, simplemente ejecuta la función del contrato de buscarlo.
Vale, sí, sí.
Vale. Pues eso. O sea, no sé, o sea, yo he utilizado como un frontend y el contrato de gente como si fuera un backend.
Sí.
Está bien.
Database, como si fuera un database, básicamente.
Vale, sí, o sea, esto está bien. O sea, es como, o sea, es un database, pero además también tiene funciones
Claro.
de backend, digamos, como si fuera un backend normal.
Sí, sí.
O sea, eso está bien. Esto en general se usa así en Web3.
Sí, se puede utilizar.
Vale.
Sí.
Vale,
Porque
vale.
tú tienes la red que te hace todas estas funciones.
Ya, vale. Sí,
O sea,
sí, sí.
te verifica las transacciones y todo eso.
Sí, y luego lo que he hecho es como que, claro, en el contrato inteligente hace las verificaciones en plan que el usuario sea de una ONG, ¿qué tal? Pero he
Sí.
hecho como, o sea, no sé si está bien hecho porque he hecho como, o sea, el contrato verifica, pero en el frontend también verifico simplemente para poderlo poner bonito, así. O sea, hay
Vale.
una manera más útil de hacerlo en plan que lo verifique directamente con el contrato. O no sé.
Con servicio de identidad, por ejemplo.
Vale.
Sería como el ejemplo del Oracle, pero y en vez de darte un valor, te das es una tercera parte que le da un servicio de identidad. Y cuando tú le das tu wallet, porque tu wallet está autenticado también
Sí.
con ellos, te dice si este usuario efectivamente es, no sé, es de esta ONG o es de este país.
Vale.
Y tampoco tiene que decir quién es el usuario, solo decir si corresponde a estas preguntas que me estás haciendo.
Ya, vale.
Sí.
Sí. Vale, luego vale, o sea, al desplegar el token directamente, o sea, lo que. Porque yo lo he desplegado. O sea, cuando lo despliego le pongo o sea, como un propietario, digamos.
Ujú.
¿Hay una forma de hacerlo directamente sin propietario? Que sea como más normal. O sea, en mi mente sería como más razonable. O sea, que tú lo despliegas, pero el propietario tampoco debería tener permisos para hacer cosas en el token en sí. O no, porque sería como, esto es como centralizarlo, básicamente.
Pero entiendo lo que quiere
O
decir.
sea, claro, yo aquí tengo, tengo quien lo despliego, bueno, la wallet que le pongo aquí es el admin, y luego esta es quien puede mintear los tokens o
Sí,
ejecutar. Luego,
es hacer como lo tengo que mirar cómo podrías hacerlo. Me apunto tu nombre, te lo envío,
vale,
¿vale? Un momentito. Lo voy a buscar ahora mismo, de hecho. Ah,
claro, porque yo lo que quería sería como desplegar el contrato y que el contrato ya funcione solo, pero luego, o sea, debería encontrar una manera de que de que sea o sea, de que pueda ser que una ONG se valide como ONG, pero sin que haya como un administrador principal, pero no sé.
vale, ok. Am, vale, entonces tú quieres que se pueda hacer el minting del NFT
Sí, pues que no sé cómo hacerlo. Sí. O sea, lo que quiero hacer es que aquí ahora mismo la wallet que pongo al desplegar es como el admin principal de todo. Yo quiero encontrar una
Sí, porque
manera.
es el owner del contrato.
Sí, luego quiero
Sí.
encontrar una manera como de que las ONG se puedan como apuntar sin que tenga que ser un admin primero que lo controle todo. Pero no sé,
Pero la ONG se puede registrar con el contrato.
ya. Pero vale, o sea, ¿qué debería poner? Como una función que sea pública.
Sí, para registrarse. Y después con unos checks puedas
Vale, bueno, sí.
resultar registrado.
Creo que es más sí, creo que lo tengo que mirar más de como lógica que no de código en sí. Vale, sí, lo pienso.
Si solo sería hacer esto, sí.
Ya. Vale, lo pienso.
Y
Vale, pues ya está.
vale,
Sí. Le doy una vuelta a esto, a ver qué tal.
vale.
Gracias.
A ti. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So if you have it in Google, can you share it with my email? So it, okay. Yes, it's here. Look. No worries. The presentation is on the not next Friday, but the one after that. It's the 19th of December, I think. Yes. Yeah. 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 I had a 5-stage contract on a sort of vault or a piggy bank, and the idea was to start simple with something where you can put money in, like a vault, and then add more checks to it to show exactly how you do. It's one basically way that things are done in smart contract, which is called CAI pattern, and it's basically check, effects, and interactions stands for. And the idea is that you first validate the conditions for something to be executed, then you update the state, and then you do the interaction with other parties, for example, wallets, other contract, and so on. So I had this simple allowance vault where you had the two events, a deposit and a withdrawal event. So the idea is that you are the owner of the vault, you can put the money, and then there is something for which you need the money and you can take it back. Then you have a constructor with a payable, where you put the money in and you make the deposit and you emit the deposit event. You receive the external payable, and then you also can do the withdrawal. With an address, there is a payable address too, and then there is the amount, and there is a little bit of a check where you require the transaction to not to fail, and otherwise you send a failed, and then you emit the event, and then there is a function that return the balance. So I have this basically here compiled. So when you have it is you have the balance, which is the initial balance, the owner, which is my wallet, and then you can do an emergency withdrawal basically like this, where you send a wallet. And then you can transact it. And so the first stage is very simple. There are almost no checks on it. So you make the transaction, confirmed. So we wait for it to be, and then the balance should be the balance then becomes 0 again, and it's forward back to the wallet. So the stage 2 gives a little bit more insight of what can be done and not done. There is an allowance set that is basically how much someone can take as withdrawal. So you can set the allowance. So the contract is pretty similar, but you add a little bit to it every time. So you require that the amount that you want to withdraw, it never exceeds the allowance. And you check the new allowance, the allowance that is, it doesn't exceed, and then you call the function. If not, you emit the withdraw. If succeed, otherwise you say it's failed. Oops. So this is the second stage. And when you see it deployed, you have this function export, the set allowance, the withdraw, the allowance for the address. So when you set an allowance, you add an address and an amount. You can withdraw with an amount, and you can see the allowance for that address, basically. You can see the owner and the current balance that was set at deploy. Yeah, so this is done in stage so that every time you add more checks to it. So then you have the third one. Then add some time into it. So a daily limit, how much was spent today, when the day start. So this is interesting if you think about it. Check the day start and add some time. It is interesting because when you think about it, if this was real world, you will have to evaluate when this is happening and the amount of hours, because there could be some discrepancies when the contract is evaluated. The day doesn't start at the same time everywhere. So there might be a window there to exploit the contract. And because let's say the contract is as a certain time zone and you're in another time zone, you could do a double call for the day and extract more money, for example. Yeah, so the last two I'll add a little bit still. And you can see when, so the more limits, more check on the total that is being spent during the day, and so on. And when you go to compile, when you see the compiled, it will have, this is the fourth one. So you set allowance, you can pause it for some time, for example. So here, it's a boolean. So if it's not paused, you can still withdraw, but if it's paused for emergency, for example, you can pause the contract and it won't give any allowance. But if you're detecting an attack or something, that's an extra check that you can add. And then when you put it all together for the last one. So you have an emergency withdrawal address. You can set allowance per address and who, daily, and total. So you can say that, for example, they can retrieve 0.5 daily, and in total, the maximum they can retrieve is, I don't know, 2 headers or something like this. You can do a post switch. You can make sure that there is no reentrancy in the contract. So you can lock the contract while you are checking the amount or executing on transactions, so that you cannot do a double call to the contract and do a reentrancy. And basically withdraw more than what you're supposed to. So this is the emergency withdrawal function that is check this spend today. And then if everything is okay, you actually execute the transaction. So that's an example where you do say CEI. Yeah, and this is basically as a little bit more functions and view and so on to expose all these values that you see in the deployed transactions. So yeah, I think some of you are working on reentrancy for the project. That's interesting topic. And yeah, You can play a little bit with this example if that helped or not. Okay. Is there any other questions for the project contracts? Okay. So as I said, next week is the last class. We're gonna do this node experiment. Yeah, I don't know if you have any other thing that you wanted to see regarding this. If so, feel free. So then I would next you were a little bit late. So next week I want to deploy a Monero node and see how you set up all the different variables. If you want to do mining, if you want to do pool mining, why some things are makes more sense than others, and so on. I'm gonna use Monero just because you can still mine without having a super powerful computer or a specific boards like ASICs, GPU kind of things. I don't think we're gonna get any money while we mine because, but it's nice to see the setup. So yes, sure.
I use your leader, the trust.
Yeah. No, this was a contact address. You didn't need, I did it. Not the one to. If you wanted to before I was showing how you can load a contract from another address in the blockchain. So I used that address basically to load the contract, but you don't have to use it. You can use my wallet or your friend wallet and try to do some interactions with it. That's okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Of course. Tell me.
We didn't, me and my partner put our names, like the team names,
Okay.
and what topic did we choose? We decided on, I have it here. Flash loans and arbitrage.
Okay. Can you put it on the spreadsheet that?
We can write there.
Yeah.
Okay, I will put it. And we wanted to ask if, like presenting it, doing the research, and also doing like we found this how to do like the to do it like, is that enough for the project, or is there something else we need to add?
This is a guide, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you should implement it.
Yes.
Okay. Do a demo.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
With some like Cebolia thing.
Mhm.
Just explain why it's needed and why do you use it. That's okay.
That will be enough, or do we need more things?
No, I think it's
So
okay.
Presentation like of the research, the topic, and the code and demo would be enough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, it doesn't matter, just leave me on so when you shouldn't do it.
So I just
It doesn't matter, you can use everything. The idea of the hardware was that
because you kind of check out the value of your value.
it's okay, as long as there is a transaction in the blockchain, that's fine.
Estábamos pensando en cómo era nuestro proyecto, era y estábamos pensando en cómo podíamos enfocar el proyecto, o sea, podíamos hacer algo práctico, pero con el tiempo que tenemos quizás sea demasiado.
Bueno, hay algo que
O sea,
ya se puede.
sí, es lo que estaba pensando, que hay ciertos conceptos que ya están hechos, que hay ciertas listas que ya hablan del concepto de sequence scale, continuous knowledge proof, y queríamos hacer algo haciendo estos como pruebas de concepto y explicar qué se podía hacer.
Si hay algo que sea conocido y lo coges y lo hace como demo, pues lo explica cómo funciona y así.
Sí, suficiente con eso.
Sí.
Esa es la idea que teníamos, pero quizás era un poco.
Sí, está bien.
Vale, vale.
O sea, puedes hacer una demo con la gente que juega.
Claro, sería cogerlo, desplegarlo.
Con MetaMask o
Sí,
algo.
desplegarlo y hacer la demo explicando un poco
Sí,
el concepto
explicando.
en sí.
Sí, que lo que se
cómo funciona.
utiliza,
Vale,
muestra las transacciones.
vale, ok. Muy bien.
Sí.
Que con el tiempo que tenemos.
Sí. Más o menos es utilizar la herramienta de.
Ok.
Sí.
Perfecto, gracias.
Okay, I disconnect the call, okay?